Hello and welcome back to another Star Wars Legion video. Today we're going to be going over General Grievous's bike form. I know I said I would do the tours video next, but I'm still working out some things for that. And they just released the stat cards for this, so we're just going to talk about this week. And kind of compare him to his other form, and then talk about builds and go over everything there. So, without further ado, let's talk about General Grievous's Wheel Bike Warlord form. This is a ground vehicle, so it is subject to all the ground vehicle rules, such as blocking line of sight. You can find those in the rule book. Just in case you don't know what they are, I would highly suggest looking those up so that you can understand why this is a significant change. Blocking line of sight is probably the biggest one. Kind of like the Aqua Droids, you might be able to use him as like a wall for other units or cover for other units while moving up your troops. Something also notable about Wheel Bike Warlord form that I was noticing is that he doesn't have a melee weapon. He has an overrun weapon and he has a range 1 to 2 weapon, and we'll get into that in a little bit and why that's significant, in my opinion. But yeah, so there is no melee weapon unless they change the rules where you can use the overrun weapon as a melee weapon. It is just a melee weapon. So keep that in mind as well. But with those things out of the way, what is so interesting about this form and what does it do? Let's look at the keywords first. It has armor 1, which means you'll be able to block a standard hit or cancel out a standard hit, sorry, not block a standard hit whenever you are getting attacked. However, since it has armor 1, if they have something like impact, they can just change those hits into crits. So keep that in mind as well. It is kind of both a blessing and a curse in some form there. He has climbing vehicle, which is, since it's a ground vehicle, it has to have climbing vehicle if you want it to be able to get up to height 1 terrain, so that's why that's there. Command vehicle 2 is a new keyword. This is probably one that I think they just made for future reference, because I don't know if they necessarily needed it. Although I guess they did. Because whenever you have, say you take like a AAT battle tank and you take the 1 leader upgrade on it that allows you to be a field commander, in the rules there's already rules for what the courage value of that commander would be, and it is 2. So command vehicle 2, he admits the command bubble of 2, so it's like all his other units around him see his courage as having 2, even though Wheel Bike Warlord Grievous does not have a courage value since he is a ground vehicle. And command vehicle 2 just allows him to have a courage bubble like other commanders. But like I said, they had that rule with field commander, so this is just like a specific keyword, and I'm guessing they want to make it for their other mounted commanders like Han and Luke. And I wouldn't be surprised if like Han came out with a command vehicle 3 or Luke came out with a command vehicle 3, and that's just a way to give them higher courage or lower courage rather than just that standard courage that the field commanders had. But yeah, so moving on to, he has Entourage, the other wheel bikes that we're going to be getting that we don't have stats for yet. I think this is going to be pretty interesting, and we'll compare him to Grievous later on in the video. Regular, just 2-footed Grievous, see how he compares. The interesting thing I think he has is immune melee pierce, and I find this pretty interesting. because, like I said, he doesn't have a melee weapon. So no matter what, you're not going to be able to use him in melee again unless they change the overrun rules. That symbol on his trophy lightsabers is just the overrun symbol, meaning that it is only used to make overrun attacks, which aren't actual attacks. So you can make, if he had overrun like 2, he would be able to make 2 overrun attacks in an activation. He only has overrun run, so he's going to be moving through people and doing other things. Well, we'll get to that keyword. But he's immune melee pierce, which just protects him from like melee people getting into base contact with him and then attacking him. So it's just a defensive tech, which it normally is, immune melee pierce, even on regular Grievous. But it's just a little bit more interesting since you're actually, you yourself are not engaging in true melee combat with this warlord. Wheel bike form. Mobile, or however you want to say it, is another keyword that is pretty interesting. It is basically speeder, except for instead of making a compulsory move and being able to go up to terrain like height 1, it's, or to your speeder value, sorry. It doesn't give any of those benefits. It just stops you from using the first step in the ground vehicle movement, or in the vehicle movement, which is rotating the commander, so you're not able to rotate Grievous 90 degrees for a free pivot. That's pretty much all mobile really does. It makes you make a compulsory action, is what it said on the site. I'm really hoping that they clarify that, because like a compulsory action is just like before or after the turn. I'm sure they meant move action, and I'm sure it's just a way to make ground vehicles have the speeder keyword without having the speeder keyword, so that they can't like hover up to terrain, whatever. So it's a limiting keyword again. It needs more clarification on that mobile, because like I said on the site, it just said it makes a compulsory action before or after the turn, and I'm sure that means movement action, but it didn't really say. If you do want to see the article that I'm talking about, you can go look on AMG's website. They have scenes to stats, which is where I get most of my information for this video. But yeah, so interesting keyword. We'll see how it plays. Just like Command Vehicle 2, 2 new keywords on this card, and we'll see how they play. Moving on to its weapons, like I said before, it has an overrun weapon, and a range weapon, which is range 1 to 2, and no melee weapon. The trophy lightsabers, its overrun weapon is 1 red, 1 white, and 3 black, with impact 2, overrun 1, pierce 1, ram 1, and scatter 1. So if you're hitting someone with armor, you'll get to change 2 of your hits into crits, so that it can bypass their armor. Overrun is just whenever you move through an enemy unit, you're able to make an attack against them. Pierce, you can cancel out one of their shields if they don't have immune pierce or immune melee pierce. Although I believe, and I could be wrong on this, I believe immune melee pierce will not work on overrun weapons, but I'm not 100% on that one. I'm not 100% sure on that interaction there, if it will get around immune melee pierce or not, since it's not a melee weapon, like I said. Ram 1, if he moved, which you're moving, you can change one of your dice rolls into a crit, which is most likely going to be that white dice most of the time. And then scatter, you get to rearrange or arrange the enemy minis around their leaders, so you can get them out of cover if you want, so that one of your other units can shoot. And since he is a ground vehicle, he can never enter into true melee, which is probably why they didn't give him a melee weapon in hindsight there. But just keep that in mind, that you can, but you still also break line of sight to ground units if he is tall enough, if his silhouette's tall enough. And I'm assuming it's going to be pretty tall. Grievous himself is already standard height, so I would imagine it'd be at least a little bit taller than that. So you could probably get some funky interactions with Wheel Bike Grievous. So just keep that in mind. His ranged weapon here is a laser cannon and a pistol. Range 1 to 2, it rolls 1 red, 2 white, 2 black. Fixed front, so you can only do it in the front arc. It has impact 1 and pierce 1. He has 8 health with armor 1, as we said before. Of course, no courage. He also doesn't get damaged ever, which is fairly interesting for a vehicle, which is pretty good. He also surges the crit on his weapons, which is very nice, and we'll talk about that and how that affects some other things in a bit. He also has red defensive dice and movement 2. On the right here, we can see what his points are going to be. He's going to be 150 points to take in your army. He has I always forget, command slot, a training slot, a gear slot, and a grenade slot. The grenade slot I don't think is going to be that useful overall. The only grenade that I could think about taking is the smoke grenade. We'll talk about that in just a second. But those are all his slots. That is his points, and that is his card breakdown. He is a commander unit, so you can only have 1 to 2 commanders in a normal game. So keep that in mind as well. He has a special gear that him and his other wheel bikes are able to take, and that is turbocharge, and it's when they make a move action, you can expend this card. If they do, it increases their speed to 3 during that move action. So for 1 move action, you get speed 3 somewhere in the game, which could be good, could not be good. It's very situational. I'm interested to see how it plays. It is only 5 points, so it's not that much of an investment. Overall, he is kind of, I might want to say overpriced, but we'll definitely see whenever it comes to gameplay, since I have not played with him. Let's get into the command cards. His 3 pip here is full throttle. You give a command to General Grievous, which will have to be the wheel bike, and 2 vehicle units. And when a unit is issued an order with this card, it gains a dodge. So you're going to be giving Grievous a dodge and 2 other vehicles a dodge. This round, when an allied vehicle unit makes a move, after the effect is resolved, it gains a surge token. As we talked about on Grievous's card, he has surged the crit, so the only thing those surge tokens are going to be used on Grievous is a defensive tech, so that you can have surge to defend during a defensive roll there. Keep that in mind whenever you're looking into things like that. His 2 pip here is pincer attack. He's giving it to do 2 vehicle units, which doesn't have to be himself, but can be himself. This round, when an allied vehicle unit attacks, the defending unit does not benefit from cover if it is within 1 and in line of sight of 1 or more other allied vehicle units. So this just allows you to coordinate your vehicles, which I think is going to be really fun gameplay wise, to have Grievous on the wheel bike and probably 2 to 3 other wheel bikes units in the game. By the way, something I forgot to mention on his original card, Entourage allows you to take 1 extra unit of that type. So whatever the maximum is, you can go 1 above that with Entourage. Just keep that in mind as well. But yeah, this 2 pip card here, going back to the command cards, is just going to be, I think, very strong in that type of army, and I think it's going to be really fun to play with. I don't know how necessarily strong the army's going to be in total, since the other wheel bike card is not fully out yet and we can't fully break it down. However, I have a bet that it will be very strong, and we're going to get into a little bit of what I would build with this Grievous and what command cards I would take in general. His 1 pip here, rounding out his 3 new command cards is I'll do it myself. You'll give an order to General Grievous himself, of course, because, you know, he's doing it himself. You may choose an allied droid trooper unit within 1 of General Grievous. If you do, the chosen unit suffers a wound, and General Grievous gains tactical 1 this round. Now, that part itself does not sound too great, because 1, you have to, you know, for some reason take a wound to one of your B1s, which is, you know, thematic. I like it. And then General Grievous gains tactical 1, which is pretty good. And we'll get into tactical 1 for every move action you take, you get 1 aim. So for that round, you could get 2 aims and then do an overrun attack. However, the bottom part of this command card is where it gets very interesting. When General Grievous makes an attack, this round, remove all aim tokens, dodge tokens, and surge and standby tokens from the defending unit during the form attack pool step. So they instantly lose all their defensive tech. If you're going up against like a Leia Wicket combo where they just have like a million dodges on them, all of a sudden you can remove all of those dodges for one of them and probably kill them with this tech. Leia Wicket is just one of the highly synergized defensive tech dual units in the game. They're not necessarily strong, they're just really good at defense. That's why I brought them up. But yeah, it's very interesting, and I think it's pretty situational, but no matter what, it's going to be good. It's not as good as like Maul's Duel of the Fates card. That card is just so much better than this, but don't compare, because Grievous is probably, I don't know, stronger than Maul overall. The interesting thing about these 3 command cards here is that General Grievous himself can take them. Since they are only tied to General Grievous, you don't need to have Grievous on the wheel bike to take these 3 command cards. 2 of them help Grievous on the command bike a lot more than standing Grievous. However, even if you just take regular Grievous, the 2-pip and the 1-pip are still going to be good. Even the 3-pip is going to be good on just Grievous. These 3 on just Grievous are just as good as these 3 on the wheel bike, and we'll get into that a little bit more in a second. Let's compare regular Grievous to Wheel Bike Grievous, though. As we can see here, Grievous does have a melee weapon. He also has Entourage Magna Guards. I don't know how the backup keyword is going, or backup's going to work with the wheel bike here. However, backup and Entourage go hand in hand. If they have the Entourage keyword, that unit is able to provide backup normally for them, and since they're a ground vehicle, you might just be able to cancel out those hits. Just remember that it has to be a ranged weapon outside of range 2 of the vehicle in order to gain the benefit of backup, but like, it's going to be very interesting to see there, because that's what you would take Entourage Magna Guard, so that the Magna Guards could help back up Grievous and you can stop them across the board. Weapon wise, I think standing Grievous probably damage output is a little bit higher, and by like 1 or 2 hits per attack, while the weapons on Wheel Bike Grievous are going to be nicer for faster, more mobile games. And if you've been watching this channel for long, you know I love a really fast mobile unit. And the thing that you need to remember about movement in the game is that Wheel Bike Grievous is going to have a slightly bigger base, which means he, even though they have the same speed, he is getting across the board faster, even without other techs like mobile or anything, or his turbocharge, sorry. Even without that other card, he's still getting across the board faster than General Grievous, Sinister Cyborg. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Surge the crit already on Wheel Bike Grievous, instead of it having to be a Jedi Hunter thing on regular Grievous, is just so much stronger. In overall terms, I think Wheel Bike Grievous is just a significant upgrade to regular Grievous. Not saying regular Grievous doesn't have his place, because he still definitely does. He's 20 points cheaper, so if you're wanting 20 points somewhere else in the army and you're not really concerned. However, the wheel bike form with the other wheel bikes that are going to be coming into the Separatist army, I think it's going to make a very strong shift into that. But again, I don't play competitively, so take my word as it is. But that is them compared. In my eyes, I give the edge to Wheel Bike Grievous, which I should, like I said, because it is 20 points more expensive than regular Grievous. But let's look at regular Grievous's command cards and which ones I would take on Wheel Bike Grievous. I would definitely, let's go over them first. Crush them. Grievous and 2 other units get an order, and when this unit is issued an order with this card, the unit gains a surge for each opponent's defeated units. It's a very situational card. I don't even take this on regular Grievous anymore, so I would not take it on Wheel Bike Grievous. Supreme Commander General Grievous gains Ruthless. This round, when an ally unit is issued an order with this card, the unit with each other allied trooper unit within 1 and in line of sight gains a surge. I might take this on Grievous wheel bike form, but I'd rather take other command cards, and I'm probably running some other commander with Grievous, like Kalani, or probably one of the new super tactical droids that I can upgrade myself, and taking some of their command cards. So we'll see. It really depends. And I probably would take an operative too if I take Kalani. Someone like Darth Maul or Bane. So probably not on the 2-pip. However, the 1-pip, trained in your Jedi arts, General Grievous gains 1 dodge token and gains disengage this round. At the end of General Grievous activations, he may make an attack against each enemy unit within 1 and in line of sight of the weapon below. Suppressive and versatile is what it gains, and it is a melee weapon to range 1. And this card is going to be so much stronger on Wheel Bike Grievous. Since Wheel Bike Grievous has a larger base, he is taking up a larger radius or diameter on the field, so you can hit more enemy units with this. He has searched the crit naturally, so it will search the crit on this weapon as well whenever you're attacking with it. I think this might have been a slight oversight on their part, on AMG's part, but I can't tell, because it looks on paper very strong, but in gameplay wise it could just be a dud. So just keep that in mind too. But I would definitely take this 1-pip and the wheel bike 1-pip on the wheel bike, at least for my command cards for Grievous, or one or the other. And honestly, this one is probably stronger than the I'll do it myself, since I'll do it myself is more situational. You'll be able to attack more units, getting more damage on the board, and more damage is always better for securing objectives, which is what the game's about, securing those objectives, or just scoring points in general. And this 1-pip on regular Grievous's command cards is just so much better. Let's move on to the builds. I have 2 builds here. Honestly, one is more of a budget build, but you don't really need half of these things. And honestly, I'd probably only take 1 upgrade on Wheel Bike Grievous, maybe 2. I'm going to play with Turbocharge eventually, or I will play with Turbocharge the first time I play with him, but I don't see it being that impactful on paper, since it's 1 move action somewhere within the 5-round game where you get to move 3 instead of 2. It's not super exciting for me, and probably not worth the 5 points, but maybe we'll see how it plays. But our first build here, I gave him Vigilance, I gave him Offensive Push, Turbocharge, and Smoke Grenades. He has Smoke Grenades on both because I wanted to use the grenade slot for talking about the full builds. But honestly, the Smoke Grenades would be the first thing that I would get rid of. And after that, I'd probably get rid of Turbocharge next. Into the Fray is going to be a solid defensive tech on this second build here. Like I said, he already has Surge the crit, so you're only going to be using those Surge tokens for defensive rolls so that you can save wounds from Grievous, and with Armor 1, it will save you a lot of rolls on red, or a lot more on average. Improvise orders, I just like taking in general, so if they have that command slot available, I do just take improvise orders sometimes if I have the points to take it. And getting rid of turbocharge would give me the points to take it on a regular Grievous. So in anything else, I would probably take improvised orders and into the fray on Wheel Bike Grievous, and the rest are just fluff if I have the extra 8 points and don't know what to do with them type of deal. And in this first build here, Vigilance, you get to keep a dodge token either on a commander and operative, or 2 dodge tokens on core units. And honestly, it's operative, commander, or special forces for those dodges, I think, and other people. Basically anyone that's not a core unit. But it's not really necessary. It's overcosted for the points, and the Separatists, I don't really deal with dodge tokens much on the Separatists since I have a lot of B1s, but it could be good, which is why it's on here. It's the only other command that I was like, yeah, I would probably take this on him eventually, depending on the army. Offensive push, he'll gain tactical 1 for a move, so an extra aim. That's always nice for 6 points. So yeah, it's really just in between Vigilance, improvised orders for that command slot for me, and offensive push and into the fray for the training slot. And the rest of the slots I don't really care about on this unit. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you have a better build for him that will utilize more of his slots for more gain than this, let me know. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.